From January 26, travelers arriving in Norway will no longer have to observe a mandatory period of quarantine, unless they test positive for COVID-19. The news is sure to be a huge boost for the travel and hospitality industry in Norway, and for travelers all around the world who can now book a trip to Norway with confidence. Up until now, travelers arriving in Norway from an area with a quarantine obligation had to serve a quarantine period of up to 10 days unless they could prove full vaccination using a verifiable digital pass compatible with the EU Digital COVID Certificate. If the traveler had no suitable accommodation, the quarantine period had to take place in a designated hotel. With the recent spread of Omicron in Europe, meaning almost all European countries were deemed high risk, the quarantine period was essentially in place for all travelers who could not document full vaccination. Announced in a press release, the Ministry of Health and Care Services took the decision following a recommendation from the Norwegian Institute of Public Health, FHI. FHI said that travelers without a certificate now account for just 7% of arrivals and only 4% of Norway's total infection cases, so the quarantine period is now of little significance in the development of the pandemic or for protecting hospital capacity in Norway. I agree with FHI that the proposal. She added that the change should have positive socio-economic consequences for the business community in general and the tourism industry in particular. The move follows a recent relaxation of domestic measures, including the ending of the ban on serving alcohol in bars and restaurants. The change essentially means that Norway's border is now open to all travelers. However, some rules do remain in place, especially for testing. For those travelers not holding a digital coronavirus certificate, a negative test result taken before arrival is still required. Also, all travelers must still register online before their trip and then take a test upon arrival, regardless of vaccination status. Testing stations have been set up at international airports and other places of entry. If a traveler tests positive upon arrival, then a period of isolation must be served until a negative test result is obtained. That means there is still a risk in booking a trip to Norway, but the ending of mandatory entry quarantine is a big step towards business as usual for travelers.